My name is Meriç Algün Ringborg. I'm an artist based in Stockholm. Originally, I'm born in Istanbul. I came here about 8 years ago because I met someone, and that seems like the most common reason to move to Scandinavia. And not being in the European Union, I had gone through a quite difficult process of applying for a visa and being accepted and coming in. And through this process, I have had quite a lot of experience with the bureaucracy of migration and also the effects on the person, like on a personal level. And I started using that in my practice as a way of both expressing my personal experience, but also to kind of create a more universal understanding and awareness of the problem. And now we are at Moderna Museet, where I have presenting an exhibition, a solo exhibition titled Becoming European. And it consists of a lot of different works relating to the subject matter. In 2009, I made a piece called A Concise Book of Visa Application Forms. It is, as the title suggests, a book, an encyclopedia-like book that contains all the visa application forms in the world. And through that, the viewer can actually go through, sit down and skim through the pages and observe the absurd questions that are in these forms. And the piece that we are standing in front of right now is called Billboards. And it is a piece that has been driven from this concise book of visa application forms. And it takes its form as a billboard, a classical advertisement form. And it asks the audience or the viewer or whoever is looking at it these questions that are driven from different visa application forms. This one that we're standing right in front of says or asks, have you ever been judicially declared incompetent? What does that mean? I guess if you're crazy or insane, if you have ever been legally declared that you're not capable of handling your legal status. This question is from a visa application form from South Africa, and there are 10 of these billboards around, and they are each from different countries. Well, I was very young and maybe perhaps naive. I didn't know the whole process of how it worked. So you had to learn everything like from scratch, and you had to situate yourself within a web of different institutions and sort of try to fit in or do and fill these forms or do as you're told in a way, or wait in your own country for 5 months or 6 months, like you don't know exactly when things are going to happen. So it was a quite frustrating process, and it was the first time I have understood my position in the world being a Turkish citizen, because with the Turkish passport you're not able to obviously go in freely within Europe. And now after a couple of years I've obtained a Swedish passport, which is so different. And this double standardization, or the way the movement and the freedom of it and not really being so free to move, is kind of this duality and this friction that creates within a person's everyday life. And this is something that I've been talking in my practice. When my family comes and visits me here, they have to apply for a visa. And the first time they applied, they were given 5 days. The second time, 15 days. And now it's getting longer and longer, but you can never get a permanent visit card. There is not that kind of system. You always have to come as a visiting relative, and you always have to reapply for a visa. So that's how things work. I have before experienced this, and this is something that is a quite common topic of anecdotes like within people, because you have to go to embassies and consulates, right? And within these consulates you get different kinds of treatments, and there's always like rumors about, oh, the Italian consulate is so tough and they make you wait outside, and France is very generous, they give visas like for a year. Like there's always this kind of street knowledge about what works and what doesn't work. So this was always somehow present in your national identity, like you know with your passport that you're not really allowed to go to your neighboring countries, or depending on their political positioning, of course. And this forms something within you, I think, as a person. And this is maybe something that I've been trying to analyze or understand. Maybe that's why I'm making art about this, and the art that I'm making it's very personal, sure, but it's very detached, and the way it's formed very like rationally and very systematically, and just as the system itself, like, so there isn't any room for emotions or feelings, or there isn't any room for compassion, perhaps, in the way that human relations would generally work. So within the system that is formed, someone can ask you if you're judicially incompetent just openly in the blank, or if you and your partner are in a genuine and stable partnership, or if you have ever been a war criminal, or if you have ever committed genocide, or like this kind of very, you would never ask this to someone, right? It's like invasion of privacy in some levels, and this is how the system works, and there is no room for feelings, let's say. So in my art, that's also what I'm trying to maybe create. It's very cold when you enter the room. It's not very pleasant. I think these posters especially fall in a category between art and something else, like you call them posters or billboards or something that is existing in this in-between state. And I think that they get maybe confused because this is a museum of modern art, first and foremost, and this is represented next to things like that are in very traditional form, and so I don't know what their expectations are when they walk in here, or if they stop and think like, what is this doing here? But that's maybe somehow what we wanted to create while doing this exhibition as well. So we place these things in more off spaces, like for example there's one in the restaurant, there's one just when you're about to enter the museum, and you're maybe confused where they are situated or why they are there in the first place. So it's a way of, maybe it's quite pedagogical too in that way, to show like this is something that's happening, but at the same time, especially what's happening in Europe right now with the rise of the extreme right and the debates around immigration, and perhaps it's something to think about, like that these are people. We are talking about people and human condition, and there's nothing that's more important than that, and that doesn't seem to still like cross to certain people's minds, because other things seem to be more of value.